because he went through a lot of tragedies in his life, and he's kind of overcome them and accomplished a lot. To start off, according to biography.com, he was born on July 5th, 1940 in Monroe, Washington. His name is Charles Thomas Close, but he now goes by Chuck Close. He had a lot of stuff happen to him at a young age. He was diagnosed with nephritis, which is a really bad kidney infection. He got that quite often and was bedridden a lot throughout his childhood. It mentioned once that he was bedridden for almost a year. At age 11, he lost his father, and he found out that his mom had breast cancer. At the same time, he was also dealing with his grandmother having Parkinson's disease. He wasn't very popular in school. He actually had neuromuscular disorder too, which caused him not to be able to play any sports. So he didn't really have a lot of friends. Also because he was bedridden at home a lot, he didn't get to really be at school. Some of the things that he tried to do that he tried to get friends was he would actually host magic shows, and he would do puppet shows to try to get people to like him more. He was bad in school in general. He didn't make very good grades. And his family actually ended up losing their home due to all the medical bills that they had. Around 1962 is when he graduated from the University of Washington. He continued on to college and got his master's at Yale. He got his master's in fine art. Around 1960 is when he started finally getting noticed. People were like realizing his art and how good of an artist he was. He started becoming famous. One of his most famous paintings is Philip Glass, and you'll see that in the next slide. And he also did some paintings of Cunningham, and he did one of Bill Clinton. Around 1988 is when he had a artery in his spine rupture. It caused him to get paralyzed from the neck down almost completely. He still regained some function in his hands to where he could paint somewhat. What he had to do is he was bound to a wheelchair, and he had to actually strap a paintbrush to his arm using like an armband, and he would kind of have to like hold his arms together and paint. And he changed his painting styles. Before the incident, he would do photorealism, which he would paint a painting and you wouldn't even realize it was a painting because it was so exact like an actual photo. After he got paralyzed, he reverted to doing grid paintings, which is where you would make a grid on a painting, and he would make like circles and donuts is what he would call them, and he would do random colors in it, and close up it would look abstract, and far away it would look like an actual painting. At the same time, when he had the artery rupture in his spine, he also was diagnosed with that. I can't pronounce it, but what it means is that it's called face blindness more commonly. It's where you don't recognize faces. So a lot of his portraits ended up being a lot of people because that's something he had trouble with. He's considered one of the 50 most influential people by the Art News magazine. In 2000, he was named a recipient of the National Medal of Arts by Bill Clinton. In 2007, he had a documentary made for him. I don't know if you guys ever seen the documentary, probably not. It's kind of boring. I've seen it myself. But it tells a lot about him, and it shows him painting. These are some of his paintings. The one on the far left is his most famous one, which is the one of Phil Glass. It's an actual painting. What he would do is take a photograph, and he would paint it exactly how it is, and he would blow it up. These paintings are actually like 9 by 7 foot. They're huge. And then the one on the next to it is the one of Bill Clinton. That's one of the ones that he used to grid with. If you kind of look close, you can see like the little circles on the inside. And then the one on the far right is of Cunningham. This is some of his earlier art where it was the photorealism. As you can see, it's kind of blown up here. You can see all the detail in it. And then the one on the far right is actually a self-portrait when he was younger. This is some of the art afterwards. The one on the far left is of a lady, and that one's actually done using his thumb with a fingerprint. And then the one next to it, he did a kind of different grid where it's more circular. The next one's another self-portrait. He did a lot of self-portraits, and he would actually do a lot of portraits of his friends, and none of them would ever like them because they showed a lot of their true features, and they would think that it would make them look ugly, and they wanted him to fix it, and he would refuse to do it. And then the one on the far right actually shows a close-up of the circles, and this next slide kind of shows how he does the pictures. As you can see in the far right, he's in a wheelchair, and you can see the armband on him and the paintbrush. And he would start out making the grid, and then he would color each of the blocks, and you can kind of see like where the mouth is here, and he would just like picture the colors in his mind, and then he would go back over it making the circles. And up close, like he would have like yellow and purple together, but far away it would look like skin color.